stand up for yourself, you know. When we do the songs that we don't have clapping or sitting or standing, and you do it your way, respectfully, as best that you can. Face your day the best that you can. So when you stand up like that, you stand up for yourself. Because my dad used to tell me, you can fool everybody, but you can't fool yourself. And that's who you're going to have to face is yourself. You're your own obstacle. If something's not happening, you got to do it. You might read scripts on Sweat Lodge and Sundance and all these things, but until you actually do it, you're not going to know. So miigwech, and I pray that you guys have a beautiful day. We have food here from the nice table that was set up, and some sema. And we're going to feed the spirit, put this in the fire later. This food is the flesh of our mother, Earth. And we have some water here, Nebe. And the water, it represents the veins that we see on our Mother Earth, the rivers, the lakes. Sometimes we see that inside us, the water, the blood. We are symbiont creatures, just like the ant and all that. So we shouldn't look down on the other beings. So miigwech for your time. Miigwech. I thank the Creator for all of you. I thank the Creator for sending you guys here with purpose. I ask that we have a day, a beautiful day, a beautiful conversation where we don't have to run away if our feelings get hurt. We can continue and we can have healing and forgiveness. Miigwech.
All right. Good morning, everybody. So you're going to look at me and you're going to say in the language of this area, Ani. Ani. Oh, you individuals, you're all sad there today. Let's try that again. Ani. Ani. Oh, that's Ojibwe. That's a good way. Let's try Wache. Oh, Mashkigoik way. We're also going to try this, my friends. Hungwe, Hungwe, Haudenosaunee. Look at me and say, Sego. Sego. Now, before I get into my territorial acknowledgements, we're going to do a very quick activity. Then I'm going to be handing this over to my good friend, Pierre. So, my friends, what I want you to do is you're going to say to a friend, all right? You're going to let them know what it is you're thankful for today. And this takes maybe 30 seconds. So don't tell your life story, my friends. All right? Oh, I want to tell them I'm thankful for the sun, my buddies, oh, my children, whatever it is. So right now, you're going to take 30 seconds, 15 seconds apiece, my friends. What are you thankful for today? And then I'm going to do my acknowledgements and pass it on. So do that now, my friends. What are you thankful for? Me no Pamadzuin. Yeah. Or Pamadzuin. It's good. All right. Wrapping it up. So, My good friends, you got to share what you're thankful for today. And that's a good thing, my friends, that you were able to do that. So we start off in a good way. So I let you know who I am. Wasa ekawabek kwenadijnakos ginoje dodum. Sagmuk nishnabek donjaba. Most of you know me as Pam or Dr. Pam from the Faculty of Education. I'm also the Interim Associate VP of Academics and Indigenous Programs. You probably didn't know that, did you? Yes, yes, yes. Or else super diva-licious if you'd like to know. Anyways, my good friends. So my name is She That Looks Ahead. And, you know, it's been some tough times lately. I'm going to speak a little bit about that. I want to acknowledge that we are in the territory of, again, some good folks. And that is, again, our beautiful brothers and sisters from Atigameksheng. This is their traditional territories. And their brothers and sisters, again, from Wanapitei. We're also in the Robinson-Huron Treaty Territory, my good friends, all right? And that is, again, of which I am a member. So again, welcome to our home and welcome to our beautiful space. So many of you that are here today, I'm going to pass this on to my friend, and I'm going to let you know that this weekend we're actually all in grieving. So there's like, you know, it's a tough time. We're in grieving right now. So Rob started us off in a good way, and our brothers that sat at this drum. And we're all in grieving because we lost somebody in our community and then justice hasn't been served. And the one thing that I really want to say, my friends, is that as an Indigenous woman, I'm Ojibwe. I grew up in Sagmuk Nishnah, back right on the res, you know. That's where I grew up. You know, born and bred there till I left to go to school, Skoongaming, because that was the only option I had. My grandmother said, you either go to work, Chiniki, or Skoongaming. You're going to go to school. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to school. Yeah, I'm not ready for work. No. So, but the reality is, the verdict on Friday, again, that did not honor our brother, Colten Boushie. This is what has happened all across our land. We also think about our brother and sister from Timmins as well, our Indigenous brother and sister that have passed on. And another Indigenous member from Val-d'Or, from our community, that have made that journey. And their lives were cut too short, right? Cut too short. So that's why we start in a place of thankfulness. Oh, miigwech, I'm thankful for this. Because the reality is, my friends, we sit here, and the reality is that Indigenous peoples, First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, our people in our own lands, we're dying. We're literally dying. And there's no other group in Canada that can say that they are actually dying or dead. But we are. Yeah, so we're dying. And that example on Friday has us in like a state of grief right now. And that's where we're at. We're in a state of grief. So you're in a place where we're grieving. And this is, again, something that we all feel. And this morning I could barely stand. I can barely stand now. And I've been doing lots of crying, like all morning. And then I was like, okay, you got to pick yourself up, because I've been crying and crying about this. Because I thought, oh my goodness, like my brothers and sisters, they're dying. Like, how many more funerals, how many more injustices, I kept thinking. And then I thought about my own family, and I thought about my nephews who I spent the weekend with, right? My nephews, Andy and Dante. And I thought, I have hope, because I felt hopeless the whole weekend. I'm like, oh, geez, you know, what's happening? I felt hopeless. And then I looked at them and looking around the room and looking at, you know, a lot of my friends and the students. And I've always been very student-centered. And the reason why I feel hopeful is because of this drum, because of people like Rob, because of my sisters that sit here. But not only that, I feel hopeful because of our young people that are here. Because you students give me hope. Because you are the change makers right now. You're making the difference, right? So it's like when almost little old ladies like myself, and I'm getting there, you know, a little bit chubbier, and that's all, but you know, that's lots of love right there. I worked hard at this, my friends, I'm telling you right now. But the reality is that, yeah, you young people are making the difference. And this weekend in Ontario, you know, to segue to my friend here, the very first president in Ontario to actually start tweeting about and also to start talking about what had happened again with Colten Boushie was Pierre Zundel. So that was... So for us as a community, we're in grieving, but we have hope because we know that somebody has our backs. And you have got to have our backs. As settlers, as guests, you need to have our backs because we're going to be going through a really hard time right now. And that hard time is about approaching things with Debway-win and Zog-de-win, which means we do it in truth and in love. And again, I look to the young people because you are what gives me the strength and the hope. It's my nephews, you know, a 6-year-old and an 11-year-old that give me hope because it's you young folks that, again, are going to make things better, and I believe that. And I can't wait to hear your questions that you have for our sister here, you know, as she sits here. I can't wait to hear them. And I'm going to pass this on to my friend, and I say to you, my friends here, miigwech, yeah, nyawa, yeah, and welcome to our home.
Chimigwech, Pam, Minwa, Rob. Bonjour, Madame la Première Ministre. It's a real honor to have you here at Laurentian University in this incredible space, this newly constructed Indigenous Sharing and Learning Center. You know, in addition to a place that has amazing architecture, it's really an embodiment of that inclusive educational mandate that we have here at Laurentian to nurture Indigenous culture and knowledge. So I'll say to all of you, I'm very glad that you are all here today with us. And I know others have mentioned it, but I also want to say something before we start on the formal agenda of the day. And I want to acknowledge that this is a really hard time for people in the Indigenous community today. You know, the verdict in the Gerald Stanley case has left people extremely frustrated and grieving. And I'll have a little bit more to say about reconciliation in a few minutes. But I think it's important to acknowledge that pain, and it's important to offer our sympathies to the family, to the friends, and to all the relations of Colten Boushie. So I think, you know, that's where we start today in this conversation. I want to welcome you, Premier, to one of Ontario's two fully bilingual and only tricultural institution here at Laurentian. We're honored to have you here with us. We're also honored to have Marc Serré, our MP, pardon me, for Nickel Bell. We have the Honourable Glenn Thibault, our MP. There he is, our MP. He is our MPP for Sudbury and the Minister of Energy for the province. We also have several of our board members here, Board of Governors members. I see Peter Xavier and Claire Perrault. Welcome to you both. Thank you for being here with us today. And I also want to say Chimigwech to any Chi-Anishinabek who are here today, our elders and knowledge keepers. Although universities are obviously partners with the province in the development of our economy and of preparing people for gainful employment and to be active citizens in our community, I want to talk today more about the universities as partners in creating a more diverse, more inclusive, and a more tolerant society. And I think that's a good way to set up a conversation with our Indigenous and Francophone students here today. Alors, depuis ses débuts, l'Université Laurentienne est un acteur majeur dans l'épanouissement de la francophonie en Ontario. We have 1,500 students and growing who are registered in French programs in a variety of fields in the arts, in the sciences, and in the professions. La Laurentienne a investi récemment dans la rénovation du pavillon Alphonse Raymond, qui est un carrefour pour les francophones de la Laurentienne, donne un endroit où on peut se rencontrer et vivre notre francophonie. Évidemment, la formation d'une main-d'œuvre dans les professions et domaines culturels et scientifiques est depuis toujours pour nous une contribution majeure à la province. C'est ici que sont formés les maîtres qui enseignent dans nos écoles. C'est ici que sont formées les infirmières qui travaillent dans nos hôpitaux et dans nos centres de santé. Laurentian is also the home to l'École d'orthophonie, which is Canada's second largest speech-language pathology program. And we're very proud of that program. We have the only French-language midwifery program outside of Quebec. And naturellement, nos forces traditionnelles dans l'histoire, dans la culture, dans la littérature de l'Ontario français est là, et renforcé dernièrement par la création d'une chaire en histoire franco-ontarienne qui exerce un leadership dans le domaine. In addition to our support for the traditional Franco-Ontarian culture, we're also committed to building a new francophonie. That is by bringing in people who are coming out of the francophiles, who are coming out of immersion, who are new immigrants, and international students from francophone regions in the world. And so we see ourselves as a key partner in building a workforce, bilingual workforce for the province, and as part of a growing francophonie worldwide. Now, in my opening remarks, I said something about being the only tricultural institution in the province, and we have a strong and a long-lasting commitment to support the English, French, and Indigenous cultures at Laurentian. We have over 1,000 students here who self-identify as Indigenous students. And on this campus, we've been in the business of reconciliation for 40 years, long before it was called that and long before it was cool. You know, this has been part of the lifeblood of this university for 2 generations. And you know, one of those that commitment to reconciliation will mean that we collectively in our research and in our teaching have to have a hard look at our institutions like the justice system, to make sure that it serves all Canadians and doesn't leave particular groups behind, as it so often does with Indigenous people now, if we're thinking about the justice system particularly. And this center, this Indigenous Sharing and Learning Center, was built as a tangible sign of our commitment and of wanting to ensure that Indigenous students have a place where they feel at home on this campus. And it's in the best real estate at the university, right at the front door. A visible sign of our commitment here to that reconciliation. It, of course, houses also the services that support Indigenous students' learning. And we're very proud of the fact that here, with our partners at the University of Sudbury just up the hill, we have the largest number of Indigenous faculty of any university in the province, a total of at least 25 here, teaching and doing research and at the forefront of that reconciliation work that we do. We have a brand new Mademoiselle Indigenous Research Institute, whose job it is to undertake ethical research with Indigenous communities for Indigenous communities, and brings together a kind of interdisciplinary group of people doing that work. We have other research leaders, like our research chair in Indigenous Health, Jennifer Walker, who is taking using big data about Indigenous health and Indigenous health services to help guide provincial policy and improve the health outcomes of Indigenous communities. We have a big focus on language revitalization and you know, trying to make sure that Anishinaabe continues as a vibrant and living language. And while we're on the subject of support, I do want to recognize, Madam Premier, the support that the province has given to the Indigenous Education Institutes recently. That long-term funding, that clear role in the system. You know, we've been partnering with those institutes for a very long time, and that's a really wonderful piece of support for Indigenous education. So, Premier, but you know, I could go on about the strengths of this institution. You know, one of the great parts of my job as interim president is that I get to see and brag about our incredible students, and I know you want to talk to our students and hear from them. So I will certainly be turning the podium over to you, or turning the mic over to you in a minute. But before that happens, we will be asking 2 of our fantastic students to be the moderators of the discussion. So Jessica Findlay, that's the présidente de l'Association des étudiants et étudiantes francophones de la Laurentienne, and Gabrielle Pellerin, president of the Indigenous Student Circle, will together co-moderate the discussion. But before they come up and do that, I want to invite Glenn Thibeault, our MPP for Sudbury and the Minister of Energy, to come up in a moment. Glenn and I see each other a lot at different events. You know, usually Glenn is giving us good news about something that he's been able to obtain for Sudbury or the North in terms of support for the important initiatives up here. And he's a great champion of Sudbury and of the North, so it gives me great pleasure to turn the mic over to him to introduce our guest of honor. Glenn.
Thanks, Pierre. Ani, good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to say a few words, and I know we want to get to questions for the Premier, but I think it's first important that I also recognize that we are in the Robinson Huron Treaty area, and that we are in the territories of our friends at the Wanapate First Nation and the Atikmishing Ishnabik. I think it's also important for me to recognize, too, the words of Rob that you spoke of earlier, and how Colten is a neighbor, and how we all have heavy hearts today. And so thank you for those powerful words, Rob and Pam. I think it is something that we all need to recognize. Part of your words were very powerful to me today. And you were talking about being a parent. And I know many of us in this room right now are parents, or you have parents paying for your education, or you're working for it. But you know, when we talked about what we're thankful for today, your first words were, my children. My first thought were my children and getting them off to school this morning. But it was also important for me to recognize my wife, who allows me to do what I'm doing. If she wasn't there making sure that the kids were getting off to school and all of the great things that she does, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. And so those are two things that I want to recognize as well, because I have the honor of having great women around me all the time, from my sisters and my wife and my two daughters to the Premier and many cabinet ministers, and the work that we're doing as a government. And yes, we have more work to do. We have a lot more work to do. But what I am so proud of is to be able to have a leader who recognizes that we have more work to do, that we're trying to make Ontario a fairer place for everyone. And we're bringing forward programs, and we're bringing forward justice as best as we can. But yes, we have more work to do. And that's why I'm so honored to be able to sit in a caucus and be part of a government led by this Premier to make our province the best it can be. And so I'm honored to be able to work with you, Premier. I'm honored to have you here in Sudbury, in this fantastic place at Laurentian University, where it's always sunny. Although the air is a little bit crisp and cold this morning, but it's always sunny here in Sudbury, and I'm very, very pleased to have you here in Sudbury with me today. And with that, I'll hand it, I think, over to Jessica to now moderate and take questions. But thank you, everyone. Miigwech, and have a great day.
So, pour ceux qui ont des questions, s'il vous plaît, levez votre main, puis on va faire le mieux pour vous amener le microphone. So if anybody has any questions, please raise your hand and we'll do our best to bring you the microphone.
Thank you so much. I have a question related to part-time students. I am a part-time student here at Laurentian University in the gerontology program. I'm also vice president of the Laurentian Association of Mature and Part-Time Students, and I am the mature student constituency representative for the Canadian Federation of Students Ontario. And coming from all of that, all of those hats that I wear, a question that we have is, will part-time students, can you see a day where part-time students get the same kind of financial assistance as our full-time students do? Because I know that there are a lot of part-time students that really should.
So thank you for that question, and thank you for having me. It's a real honor to be here. Merci beaucoup. Bonjour, bonjour, Ani. And I just echo all of the sentiments that Glenn has expressed. My heart is heavy with yours this morning, and I'm sure there will be questions about the work that we are all doing to further reconciliation. And so I thank you very much. And Monsieur le Président, Dr. Pam, thank you so much. And I want to acknowledge Rob and the drum. So, part-time students. Glenn talked about the work that we are doing as a government, and you know, I really believe that whatever human civilization people we're talking about, people have come together to organize themselves to try to support one another. And I think that's what government is. I think government is all of us trying to find a way to help each other, and therefore government exists to do good in people's lives. That's the point of government, to make life fairer. And so one of the things that we have done is we have changed the way student assistance works, and you're referring to the free tuition that we have put in place for students who otherwise may not go to college or university. And one of the things, well, a couple of the things that we did when we made that change was we expanded that support to include adult students, mature students, to include students who had been living away from home for longer than 4 years. Because if you remember, when we had the previous program, the third of tuition off, it was just in the first 4 years after they left home. So my answer to you is yes, we're continuing to expand how we can support students, how we can help everyone to be at their best, because we are this beautiful, huge geography, which I'm always reminded when I fly into to Sudbury, what a beautiful place we live in. But we are few people in that huge geography. So if we are going to be at our best, then every single one of us needs to be at our best. And so that's why the work that Laurentian is doing is so important, to lift up all of the students who are here. And we need to find ways of supporting more students. So I can't give you the specifics of what we will do, but the direction that we are moving is to be more inclusive of more students who need support.
Thank you very much, Premier Wynne.
Thank you.
Okay. Donc, en Ontario, seulement 22% des programmes universitaires du premier cycle sont offerts partiellement ou complètement en français. Ces programmes sont principalement offerts par des universités bilingues, telles que Laurentienne. Mais ces institutions sont en train de nous peindre des images trompeuses quant à l'importance des francophones au sein de leur campus. Nous retrouvons des programmes en français qui sont incomplets, un manque de vie étudiante rayonnante et une négligence au sein de l'administration face à notre communauté. Les francophones de l'Ontario ont réitéré clairement, dans le cadre des États généraux sur le postsecondaire en Ontario français, que la création d'une université de langue française indépendante et provinciale était essentielle pour assurer le développement et l'épanouissement de la francophonie ontarienne dans toute la province. Le modèle des institutions bilingues, malheureusement, ne suffit plus à la communauté francophone. Donc, votre parti réalise maintenant l'importance d'investir dans une institution qui est gouvernée par et pour les francophones, avec l'annonce de la création de l'Université de l'Ontario français qui va être dans la région du Grand Toronto. Cependant, il ne faut pas oublier les besoins urgents des autres régions de la province. Donc, qu'envisage votre parti quant à l'amélioration de l'éducation postsecondaire pour les communautés francophones au Nord? Et pouvons-nous compter à retrouver un campus de cette Université de l'Ontario français pour desservir les communautés de cette région ici?
Merci pour cette question. Et vous savez que je ne suis pas bilingue, mais je vais essayer à répondre. C'était toujours important pour moi d'avoir des services en français pour tout le monde, pour toute la francophonie en Ontario. Et si la francophonie est forte en Ontario, donc Ontario est plus fort. Et nous sommes en train à ce moment, comme vous avez dit, à planer, à implémenter ce plan pour une université francophone. J'espère que won't just be un édifice, mais c'est une institution pour la province. Nous avons besoin en Ontario Sud d'avoir une place, un programme pour les francophones en GTA, en Sud Ontario. Mais j'espère, comme j'ai dit, que ce programme peut être d'avoir les satellites. Je ne sais pas au nord ou l'est ou l'ouest de l'Ontario. c'est pour moi le vision. Mais nous avons en ce moment un plan et nous devons implémenter. OK? Merci.
Bonjour, madame. Well, Alan, you've been Bochke and Nunga. My question to you is, do you think you can develop, personally and professionally as a leader, the attributes required to demand and seek justice for Colten and other Indigenous people so that we don't lose another life?
Okay. So, I'm trying. That is the truth. That one of the tenets of my time as an elected representative, from the time I was a school trustee through being an MPP, through being the Minister of Education, one of the tenets of my professional and political life has been that at the core of our country's consciousness is the pain of a relationship that I'm not even going to say it was broken. I'm not sure it was ever whole, but that we have not told our history well. We have not successfully reconciled with that history, with our relationships. So I am working very hard to wherever we look in government, wherever we look in community, to find ways to do better. And I'm going to tell you a quick story about why that is so central for me. In 1978, which for many of you sounds like, I don't know, 150 years ago, but in 1978 I was in my 20s, and I had just finished a Master's of Linguistics. I was in the process of doing a Master's of Linguistics, and I volunteered for the Department of, what was then Department of Indian Affairs federally. And I was sent to a reserve, Constance Lake, north of Hearst, and I was asked to do a language survey. And I should never have been sent there. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know the community, and the community didn't know me, and it was wrong. But I didn't know to say no. You know, I didn't know enough to say no. But after that experience, I came away with such a feeling of it was anger, it was confusion, it was how do we figure this out, because here I was documenting supposedly a language just because I could transcribe and I was doing something academically, but I was documenting something that I had no business to be documenting. And so for me, and also in that experience, I had the experience of meeting with teachers in the school in Hearst, who at that time were teaching the kids from Constance Lake, and I realized that the expectations of those teachers were so low for those kids. And so out of that experience in 1978, I kind of carried this thread of what is this about for me in my life? How am I being asked by whatever experiences I have, how am I going to use this experience to find a way for us to do better? So just let me skip forward to today, and let me tell you that some months ago, in fact, over a year ago, we recognized that in Ontario there was a problem with the representation of Indigenous people on juries. We asked Frank Yakubuchi to give us advice. We are in the process of finding a way to change that. So to this particular subject, I hope that what we do here in Ontario on this particular issue, that it will go some way to ensuring that that this won't happen again. And I want to just add my voice to the sympathy for the family, and all the families that have suffered because of our history and our lack of reconciliation.
Well, Alan, I know elders have told me that you only know what you know, but when you know different, you can do better. Miigwech.
Miigwech, thank you. Okay, am I going here? You two battle it out and then tell me. Okay.
Go for it.
Yeah, okay.
Hello, bonjour. Moi, c'est Brianna Gertin, puis ma collègue Nathalie. On est en quatrième année en sciences infirmières. On a étudié toutes nos 4 années en français à la Laurentienne, le programme que je tiens très à cœur en français, en sciences infirmières. Là, la prochaine problématique, c'est d'écrire notre NCLEX. Donc, le
NCLEX.
Yeah, the NCLEX. The National Exam.
National exam. Oui.
OK. Puis là, on décide si on devrait l'écrire en anglais ou en français. Puis moi-même et ma collègue, ainsi que la majorité de nos 53 étudiants, décident de l'écrire en anglais parce que la traduction n'est pas parfaite, n'est pas bien faite. Donc,
La traduction entre anglais à français, ce n'est pas parfait?
Non, n'est pas parfait. Puis je me sens plus confortable. Moi, je suis comme francophone pure. Puis là, je me sens moins confortable de l'écrire en français de ma langue maternelle.
Et est-ce que ce n'est pas possible d'avoir cet examen en français?
C'est possible, mais je me sens pas confortable à l'écrire parce que la traduction est pas parfaite.
OK. Et c'est oui, c'est un problème pour le board national, hein? Oui.
Ça.
OK. Je n'ai pas la solution pour ce problème, mais merci pour cette concern et je vais parler avec le ministre de Santé et de Soins longue durée pour assurer que nous avons cette conversation avec les autres premiers et les autres provinces et territoires.
Merci beaucoup. C'est tout à quoi je peux demander.
OK, merci. Merci beaucoup.
Dernièrement, votre gouvernement a tenté d'améliorer la condition des francophones au pays, en province, avec l'établissement de nouvelles institutions à Toronto, avec la création d'un ministère des Affaires francophones. Et, plus important, c'est la reconnaissance du statut bilingue de la ville d'Ottawa. Et maintenant, ce que je te demanderais, parce que vous venez juste d'affirmer que l'accès aux services en français pour tous les Ontariens, c'est quelque chose qui est très important. Est-ce que votre gouvernement planifie étaler cette même reconnaissance du statut bilingue à une ville comme, admettons, Sudbury ou à la province en entier?
Alors, la résolution d'Ottawa, c'est une initiative municipale et le province a validated cette initiative. Et si nous avons des autres municipalités qui veulent avoir cette initiative, we would be fine with that. But it really started with the municipality.
Mais moi, je parle aussi au niveau provincial, comme la province est devenue membre de l'Organisation internationale de la francophonie.
Francophone, oui.
Donc, c'est clair qu'en quelque part, la province a la volonté de mieux desservir sa population francophone. Donc, est-ce que c'est quelque chose que la province va faire à l'échelle de la province?
So are you asking me about the improvement of services, or are you talking about bilingualism provincially? Parce qu'en train de, nous sommes à ce moment, le ministre Marie-France Lalonde est en train d'améliorer les services en français pour toute la province. Nous n'avons pas à ce moment un plan pour un bilingualisme provincial, mais nous avons des municipalités qui sont très forts avec des services et nous allons aider ces municipalités.
Ani, Ajnes Kwan Dijnikas, Wikwam Kong Anishinabek, Donjaba. My Anishinaabe Nozwin is Little Angel Woman, and I'm from Wikwamagong on Manitoulin Island. A couple of days ago, Canada basically told Indigenous people across the nation that our lives don't matter. They are devalued. And following that, Indigenous people are started and are still in a period of grieving. And there's been a horrible racist backlash. And you talked about when you went to Constance Lake that you realized that you didn't know much about the community or about the people or the culture. I don't think that racism is the hate from racism is born in malice. I think it's born in ignorance. And it gives rise to fear from people, and then Indigenous people have to suffer the consequences.
at the campus level, we've done something incredible in the past year where the humanities now have Indigenous studies that are mandatory for all humanities students. This hasn't happened in the science and engineering department yet, but we're working on it. But one major problem that has arisen is that we've gone from class sizes of 30 in Indigenous studies to 100 or 150 in Indigenous studies, so there's only one faculty member. And on top of that, the Indigenous students in those classrooms, because of this massive gap in knowledge on Indigenous culture and people, have turned from student to teacher. And so they're actually missing out on an opportunity to build their university education. And I was wondering, my question to you is, what is your plan to address something like this? Because I think that the problem is that we need more education on Indigenous people earlier, before they even get here.
And that's exactly why we are changing the curriculum. So I skipped from that 1978 experience to today, but in between, I've been the Minister of Education in this province. And as soon as I had the opportunity to be the Minister of Education, I started on the work of how do we change the curriculum? How do we make sure that there is more input? Now we have mandatory teaching of treaty education, of residential school, the history of residential schools. So those curricula are being rewritten in order that, exactly what you have said, by the time students graduate from high school in this province, they will have much more knowledge of our history, and will not come with that ignorance to post-secondary. I mean, it just has not been the case in this province. I mean, my generation, my children's generation, it's not until this generation of kids coming through that we're getting on this. But I firmly believe, and it was top of the list of recommendations from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, that we change the way we educate ourselves so that this isn't about educating Indigenous kids. This is about educating everybody so that they arrive with more knowledge. So that's actually happening now. But I just want to acknowledge the other thing you said about Indigenous students becoming the teachers. You're caught in this moment where there is change happening, and I think to the degree that you can take on that role, you should, but to the degree that you don't, that it's not good for you, then you need to say no. And you need to say, to people, you need to go and find this out yourselves. You don't have to take on that burden of teaching non-Indigenous children. Only as far as you want to. That would be my hope for you.
So unfortunately, we only have time for one last question.
Bonjour, Madame la Première ministre.
Bonjour.
En fait, je voudrais juste vous poser une question, en l'occurrence, à ce que mes collègues francophones ont dû poser. C'est concernant le programme de la francophonie dans vos prochaines élections. C'est quoi les objectifs que vous avez mis en tant que gouvernement ou prochain éventuel gouvernement de la province de l'Ontario pour favoriser le taux de la francophonie? C'est une première chose. Puis principalement dans la région du nord de l'Ontario. Parce que moi, j'ai travaillé dans les statistiques, puis on a mentionné, ainsi que Statistique Canada, que le taux de la francisation a diminué, plus principalement dans la région de North Bay, et durant Sudbury et Timmins, de moins 2,6%. Fait qu'il y en a pas mal qui se sont convertis à l'anglophonisme, soi-disant. Puis on voudrait juste avoir les principaux objectifs de votre gouvernement, en plus de ce que j'ai remarqué autant que nouveau résident à la région du Grand Sudbury, qu'il y en a pas mal de services gouvernementaux du gouvernement de l'Ontario, comme le service de la carte maladie, le service du permis de conduire, le service de l'emploi de l'Ontario, où il y en a pas mal d'employés qui ont un manque de bilinguisme en question de français, soi-disant qu'ils se disent bilingues, mais leur français est pas mal moins que basique, ce qui a créé des problèmes pour moi, principalement, là, des fois, ils sont obligés d'appeler un autre service à Ottawa ou à Toronto pour communiquer avec moi. Plus principalement avec la carte maladie, là, au ministère de la Santé. En plus, une deuxième question, M. Glenn Thibault.
Okay.
Moi, je parle pas anglais, dans le fond.
No, it's okay. I just want to make sure I get the pieces. But so you're talking about the strengthening of services, the diminution of services that you experience.
Qu'est-ce qu'elle a dit là?
The platform, yeah, the platform. And we haven't finalized our platform yet. Mais do you want to ask the last bit of your question?
Oui, ma dernière question, c'était que des employés de votre service gouvernementaux, ils ont un manque de bilinguisme. Bon. C'est le service de la carte maladie, le service du permis de conduire, le service de l'emploi Ontario. Et il y a certains employés, plus principalement dans la région de Grand Sudbury, ils ont un manque de bilinguisme de français. C'est qu'ils ne parlent pas français, dans le fond. Puis, on aimerait juste savoir c'est quoi les plans prochainement pour graduer cette situation-là, parce qu'elle est vraiment critique.
Oui, vous avez besoin de plus de services en français.
Exactement.
Oui. Et nous n'avons pas en ce moment une plateforme.
Fait que vous n'avez pas un plan actuellement.
Finaliser cette plateforme, mais notre objectif est toujours améliorer les services. Et si nous avons des gaps, si nous avons des qu'est-ce que c'est le mot pour gaps? Un écart. Nous devons travailler avec vous et avec la francophonie pour compléter ça, pour améliorer ça. Et when we are finished the platform, I hope that you will see that there are those initiatives. Comme nous avons finalisé cet document, j'espère que vous pouvez voir que nous allons améliorer les services.
Je l'espère, bien évidemment.
OK. Merci.
OK. Merci à vous pour répondre aux questions. Puis je passe le micro à Gabi.
Is it working?
Okay.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
Yes, it's on. Thank you. I just wanted to say miigwech nyawe, Premier, for your time here today. On behalf of the students, we're very proud to be able to engage in this political process. This gathering today is really a testament of the strength and resilience of our peoples as we gather to address critical and crucial issues and injustices that our peoples have faced and continue to face. But the fact that we are able to gather here together today, whether you're Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, or part of the settler population, it's really a testament that we're able to move forward together and really address these issues and have those important conversations. June 7th, there will be an election to set the path for the future of this province. As we gather on the traditional and current territory of the Atikimikshing, Anishinaabeg, and Robinson Huron Treaty Territory. And as an Indigenous student, may we keep the 7 generations in mind and all generations moving forward as we engage in selecting the leadership for the future of Ontario. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Miigwech. Merci.